Okay, we're back. Part 2. The other one overran a little bit, never mind. Okay, that was the most boring bit out of the way. The strings are on, all 6 of them now. You can see the little ball ends hanging off there. So we've done it up so that they're all fairly slack, because the bridge is still being held up by pliers. You let the tension off that, it will go back down. The string's going to pull a hell of a lot more, so you want to leave them to it at the moment. Now, I know for a fact that I had a 11 to 49 gauge on here before. This is a 10 to 46. So obviously in the same tuning, which is what I want to put it in, it's going to the tension from the strings is going to be less at the same tuning because the strings are thinner. So with that in mind, I knew that I needed to go in the back and we need to do a bridge reset here. Now this is difficult because if it's the first time you do this, you don't know how many turns relate to how hard the bridge is going to pull. Now I've taken the plate off already, the screws are over there. This is the padding I use in the back just to take out the resonance from the springs. Now it's a guessing game because basically I'm going to ease off some of the tension on the bridge here, well, that's put on the bridge by the springs in the back, because going down that, well, I say that many gauges, it's 1 gauge, it's 10s to 11s to 10, standard 11s to standard 10s, but I know that it's still going to pull quite a lot less. And obviously the idea is to get the bridge in the position that you want it, which is essentially flat, whilst having the strings in tune. So looking at that, the way this was set, it was quite extreme. So I've loosened off about, keep going with this one a bit actually, loosened off about that much of the plate at the back. So as you can see, I'll give you a little close up after I've done this one. Here we go. You can see how far the screws in the back, the distance here, if I can get my finger there, this bit, these screws were screwed in so this plate here was almost at the top. Now I've slackened that off, what, half an inch or so, just to give the strings some breathing weight. So what I'll do now is I'll take the strain from the springs again on the trem bar and take the needle nose pliers away. So now the bridge, as you can see, is basically dived straight back into the body because the tension on those springs in the back is pulling a hell of a lot more than the strings. So now what the idea is, now you've got the guitar in this situation, you've obviously put more tension back on the strings here, and they're going to start to stretch when they get up to certain pitches. So now what you need to do is put the guitar in tune, whatever tune you want. I'm going to use standard D, just down a step from E, and what we'll do is I'll tune it up and we'll get it so the strings are in tune, and then we'll see where the bridge sits after that. Now as you know, I've adjusted the bridge here, but it was a guess. So if I get it bang on first time, it's only because I've done it before. I might be a little bit lucky, but hopefully I won't be bang on, so then I can show you what we need to do to readjust that and get the bridge sitting level. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, now this has actually worked out quite well. The guitar is very nearly in tune in D at the moment. It's as good as it could be. But one thing that you can notice if I hold it up here, you see the bridge. Now if I can get the angle without taking out my TV. Now, get that pot out of the way. Oh, this is going to be more difficult than I thought. Okay, there's the bridge. Now, as you can see, the bridge is sitting a little bit too high up in the air for my liking. It's not exactly flat. The screws at the back are sticking out above the room where it's made so that you can do squeals and dives and stuff. So basically, I slackened it off too much. I took too much off the springs in the back. So now what you've got is you've got the strings almost in tune. So if you just tighten the back up, you're going to overshoot, because when the bridge gets pulled back by the springs, more tension will come on the strings, they'll go up in pitch. So the first thing to do is to release a lot of tension, well not a lot, but quite a bit of tension from each of the strings. So you've taken it down to maybe, I don't know, 2 steps below what you want to tune it to. Now, the next bit to do is go back to the bridge, and you think, well, it was close, you know. The bridge, it was nearly in tune. The bridge was a little too high, so you slackened off the tension from the strings. Now you need to tighten the bridge up. It's a guessing game. Now I'm going to do it 2 big turns each side, and then maybe a little bit more. because I want it just below neutral. So I've tightened it back up, and I think from experience that might work out okay. So now what I need to do is, obviously now I've done that, tighten the bridge up a bit and slacken the strings. The bridge has died back down again. It's gone down into the hole a little. So what I'm going to do is retune the guitar again, and we'll see where the bridge sits after that. Okay, we're back again. This time the guitar is very nearly in tune in D. The strings are holding the tension a little bit better now. They're starting to stretch out a little bit when you tune them. Now, this time, I'll try turning it around this way this time so we get a better view without taking out my wall this time. There we go. If you can see the bridge on there, this time the bridge is sat almost flat. If you gauge it from the tuning strings that stick through the bottom, tuning little pegs here, you want it so that they're basically flush level with the side of the body. Now mine are raised by like maybe a couple of millimeters or so. It's a little bit more than I wanted, but to be honest, this is the trial and error. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just slacken off the strings a little bit again, just a tiny bit. Now what you can do is, if I give this another twist, put a bit more tension on there, we go. Now, there we go. The bridge at the back here has now died down a little bit just because I put a bit more tension on the springs. The strings will have raised up to pitch what I want again because I only slackened them off a little. There you go, there's the D. So now we have a guitar that is tuned to D, the bridge is exactly where I want it, and I can start putting it all back together. Now just as a couple of tips, because the Floyd Rose is done on tension, if you were to take this top string here and tune it up to D, the second you touch any of these rest of the 5 strings and put some tension on these ones, you're going to detune the top one. That's because the strings take the tension evenly. So what I tend to do is, yes, maybe a bit, you can see it as risky, it's up to you. I overtune the top couple when I do them. I put them about a step higher than what I'm looking for. So by the time I've tuned the bottom ones up to the gauge they're at, these bottom ones have gone back to the actual tension that you're looking for, so it balances out. That's just something that you can learn in time. You will get frustrated with it. Just be aware that obviously the thicker strings take more of the load, so they're more important to get right first. People usually say tune from the inside out, as in the 2 middle strings and then tune outwards on a Floyd Rose. I don't agree. The top 3 or 4 strings will take a lot more of the load than the bottom 2 because they're thinner. So if you can get the bottom 3 right, overtune them a little, or depending on how slack the bottom ones are, overtune these ones quite a long way. When you bring these ones up to pitch, these ones will drop back down, if that makes sense. And then hopefully by the time you reach like an equilibrium where you get the tuning you want, all the strings are actually falling into line one after another. For now though, I'm just going to put it back together and we'll get the final tuning in. And okay, I'm back for just one last bit. I've got a minute and a half. I'm doing this segment again because I overran on the last one. So anyway, test my acting skills because it's the next day, so let's pick up where we left off. The bridge is now set where we want it, the guitar is now in tune, the back has now been screwed back on, the little padding bit attached back in there. And basically we've changed the gauges from 11s down to 10s, everything's okay. Now the only other tip I'll quickly get in, because I haven't got a lot of time, is that's not the end of it. You've got to take the slack out of the strings. Now what I mean by that is, even if you tune it up and the guitar's in tune, if you start playing it, the strings will slacken off until you take the slack out of the strings, as it were, and you'll find that the guitar will keep going out of tune because of that. Now one quick tip that I use is I grab the string on the 12th fret and I pull it up until there's quite a lot of tension on the string, not obviously till it snaps because that's not going to be beneficial to you. So pull the strings up, be careful when you do it, take the slack off the strings. When you're finished and you think you've got all the slack out of the strings, the bridge might dive a little bit, bring it back up in tune, it will reset to the right place. You can even use the trem, push it down to put more tension on the strings and take the slack out. Put the locking nuts back on top of the guitar, do them up, and then you can use the fine tuners. down here at the bottom, and you should be away.